did you convert to Judaism?
Converted last year, 2021.
2021, what month?
What month? June.
In June of 2021. Okay. So, okay. We're going to come up. It's not even a full year yet, right? Is it? And you converted with your 2 children, and now you have 3 children, right?
That's right.
Well, the third one was in my belly, so we converted with all 3. And
Does that count?
we had our first baby born Jewish in September. She was born in September.
Okay. So we had a program at Lincoln Square Synagogue this past Friday night called Shabbat Across America. And it was a program that was started at Lincoln Square Synagogue in 1980. And it was known as Turn Friday Night into Shabbos. And then I think in the year 1992, NJOP renamed the program and called it Shabbat Across America. And I guess at its height, we had as many as 800 congregations, maybe 80,000 people participating in Shabbat Across America. And it spread the gospel of Shabbat. And it's been enormously successful. Unfortunately, during the last 2 years with COVID, we have been able to run live Shabbat Across America, and we've only had the program called the Shabbat Across America at home.
Yeah.
Although this year we were able to get a few locations where they actually had live Shabbat Across America. So one of those places was Lincoln Square Synagogue this past Friday night. And we asked Raja and Faye, whose Hebrew names are
Excuse me. Yosef, Ephraim,
and
Chaya.
Chaya, Yosef, Ephraim, and Chaya, okay, to tell their story about how a Chinese family became Jewish, okay, became Orthodox Jews, okay, and they made a presentation on Friday night that blew everybody away. It really blew everybody away. And we've asked them, because we really wanted to have it taped so that thousands of people could watch it. We've asked them to repeat the presentation tonight at our beginners schmooze. So here we go. Yosef, Ephraim, and Chava, woo.
All right. Thank you, Rabbi Buchwald. All right. Let me begin by saying again, my name is Yosef Ephraim Wu. Hey, but you don't have to remember the whole thing. Just take my initials, J, E, W, and call me Jew. If other members of the tribe thinks, funny, he doesn't look so Jewish, they probably don't recall meeting me, since it was a long, long time ago that me and Chaya, the 2 of us, were out in Sinai together with all of you guys on this Zoom. But this Jew has an even longer name, actually. Yosef Ephraim ben Abraham. That's right. For those of you who are here who may be unfamiliar, when a Jew is called to the Torah, he's identified as the son of his father. However, because Chai and I have been reborn miraculously in a different life, I am called to the Torah as Joseph Ephraim, son of Abraham, our spiritual father, the first convert to the world of ethical monotheism as we know it. Now, Abraham is called the first Hebrew, Ivri, which means a person who crosses over. He crossed over from one land to another, from one culture to another. In that spirit, the 2 of us, me and Chaya, are here tonight to share with you how we crossed over from our previous lives to join this spiritual nation founded by Abraham.
It's 1983. My given name at birth was Faye Fang, and I was born and raised in southern China, about 300 miles away from Hong Kong. After the explosive population growth in the 60s and 70s, China imposed the one-child policy for our generation. My aunt and uncle did not have kids themselves. So not only was I the only child for my parents, I was the only grandchild in my grandpa's house. I was their pearl on the palm. Or as we say in Chinese, 掌上明珠. I never had to do any house chores. Always got the dresses and toys I wanted, and no one in the family ever raised their voice against me. One time, when I was around 5, I hit my friend Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao came to my dad and told him what happened. But instead of reprimanding me, my dad jokingly asked, "Who won the fight?" Xiao Xiao said, "What do you mean who won the fight? It's not the Olympics." My dad laughed out loud. But then afterwards, there was no follow-through conversation with me on the importance of polite manners and respecting other human beings. Another time, I stole money from my family's box of spare change. I went to get myself a big ice cream, and I missed the dinner time. When I sat down at the dinner table, I told everyone I wasn't hungry because I ate an ice cream. My mom figured out that I had taken money from the change box. And after a moment of silence, my mom said gently, "Please, Faye, don't do that again." Then the grown-ups went on to chat about the news of the day and things that matter to them. No one said anything about stealing. I was, in a word, spoiled. So why did my parents treat me this way? Are they out of their minds? As they said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. My parents actually had all the good intentions for me. They thought that a happy child should be happy all the time. So they avoided criticism, which surely would cause tears and struggles. They wanted a family with democracy between the grown-ups and me. So they treated me as if I was already an adult, knowing what was right and wrong for myself. What they failed to realize was that the power of Yetzer Hara is too overwhelming for a young child, and their parenting approach simply didn't work. Not having any ethical guidance was not an obvious problem when I was young and small, but as I grew up and entered the workforce, started a family, it became more and more evident that something is seriously lacking.
Again, it's 1983. Faye already told you about her birth. What she didn't tell you was that on that same day, 1,000 miles away, I was born too. I was also an only child, but unlike Faye's family, my family didn't spoil me with attention or toys. When I was 6, my family immigrated to the US. My dad was studying for his PhD, so he was making very little income and had little time to spend with me. And my mom, who knew very little English, could get only a cleaning job or a factory job. And because money was tight growing up, I learned early on to be very money conscious. Now, after college, I moved to New York City for graduate school. And here I was influenced by the city's culture of materialistic success. So it drove me into the lucrative hedge fund industry. By a stroke of luck, I met someone who worked at a famous New York City hedge fund. He brought me in for an interview, and it turned into an investment job offer. My hiring manager liked that I was quantitative and analytical, good with numbers. After a few years at the company, I took an opportunity to switch groups. Then one day, out of nowhere, I was fired by my manager. I was shocked. Now, soon I realized my communication, writing, literacy weaknesses finally caught on to me. Growing up, I was terrible at English, hated reading and writing, and had no interest in history. I realized I wasn't good enough for the career I chose. I was too narrow-minded in trying to make money and did not develop myself in a well-rounded way. That failure was a wake-up call, and it made personal growth important to me. But who could have ever imagined where that would lead me?
Fast forward to 2015, Roger and I have been married for 2 years. I was pregnant with Wei Wei, our oldest child. I was in a chat with my friend. Her 5-year-old daughter was hit by a school bully. Her daughter came home crying and asking what she should do. My friend didn't respond with, "Who won the fight?" She said instead, "Hit him back." At the time, I thought, what should I say to my daughter if she's bullied? At that moment, I realized that my years of schooling didn't teach me any of this. I didn't have any clue how to be a mom. My family never gave me the moral compass necessary to raise a family of my own. I was soon to be responsible for a human being's life, but I was unprepared to guide her through life's ups and downs. I started to read. I found many parenting books online, and I bought a few of them. One of the books' title caught my attention: The Blessing of the Skinned Knee. I sense that there is wisdom in this book beyond just a list of parenting advice. I bought the book and loved every chapter of it. It is written by Wendy Mogul, a Jewish clinical psychologist who works with children. The book talks about 10 Jewish values that any family can benefit from raising kids. As I was reading it, I thought, yeah, this is the type of family and the type of kids I dream to have. Although I was not brought up the same way, I felt those values were always a part of me. The book sparked our interest in Judaism, and that's when we discovered Central Synagogue. It was a few blocks away from our work in Midtown East. Roger and I went there on a Friday evening. The Reform service is a lot of melodic singing in English words, so it was quite accessible to us. We attended the service for about half a year. At Central Synagogue, we learned that there were different denominations of Judaism, and everyone practices their own ways. I wanted to see in person how other versions of Jewish prayers were like, so I looked for an Orthodox synagogue near me, and I found Fifth Avenue Synagogue. I went there on a weekday morning. A dozen men were there, and I was the only woman. The service is very different. No melodic singing to popular tunes, all in Hebrew, all men wearing little boxes on their heads and black straps around their arms. My initial thought was, why would anyone do this? Why wouldn't they go to a service where they can have a nice time, singing, and hanging out with their friends. As I sat through the service, I tried to listen carefully. At first, the men were just mumbling Hebrew that I didn't understand. All of a sudden, they all stood up, and the energy of the room went up 10 times. Their voices were loud and in unison.
Yitgadal b'yitgadash Shemei Rabbi.
Their chanting reminded me of the stories I read in the Torah and in the book of Nevi'im. It sounded like a battle cry that traveled through thousands of years. I saw Jewish soldiers putting on their armors, getting ready to fight the Philistines. I saw their solemn faces. I sensed their determination. I saw their wives and children crying faces. I saw dead bodies lying on the ground and their families standing by, praising the God of all creations. I felt sad and uplifted all at the same time.
Ba'alma divara kiruse v'yamlich malhuse.
At the time, my life was in an upheaval. I was struggling to balance a Wall Street job and my family demands. I was often sleep deprived, stressed out about work, disappointed at how little our families were willing to help. I couldn't come to terms with life, how uncomfortable and challenging things have gotten for me. The Kaddish told me that life is not supposed to be so comfortable. Life is full of battles. Although Reform service was nice and pleasant, it doesn't really represent how life is in its truest form for me anymore. Orthodox davening was plain, bare, uncomfortable, and takes focus and perseverance to do. That's much closer to how my everyday feels like now. But where would this take us?
Faye came back from the Fifth Avenue Synagogue and said to me, "Roger, this is the real Judaism." So we reached out to the synagogue's rabbi, Rabbi Babich, and he agreed to meet with us in his office. And he said to us, "The truth is, it's very hard to be Jewish." We asked, "What do you mean be Jewish?" We thought being Jewish meant eating good food, having a lot of holidays off from work, hanging out with smart and witty people, studying ancient wisdoms of the Torah. So we didn't know why it would be hard at all. He said, keep Shabbat, keep kosher, and family purity. These are the three grand goalposts of every observant Jew. So we asked him, can you teach us? He said, there's an excellent rabbi you probably never heard of. We found many videos of him. In one video, he pretends to be running for the president of the United States for the Shabbat party. He sets up a Shabbat table in Times Square in the middle of winter, pulls random strangers from the streets to light the candles and bless the challah. But when I met him in person for the first time at the beginner's service, he was even better than his video. Who are you? I'm Roger. I'm new here. Do you speak Hebrew? No? Take a big sheet. We're on page 235 of this door, right smack in the middle of the page. It's song number 8 on the pink sheet. Sing, or you don't get any refreshments at the end. Rav Elisa Gadol Venora Mashpil Geim Umakbala Shafali. In the following 5 years, we attended Rabbi Buchwald's service without a break.
It's hard for me to imagine now how anyone can deal with life without Judaism. Not only am I now equipped with the moral compass for raising a family, the practices that I learned at Rabbi Buchwald's service strengthened me as a person. While I was struggling with balancing my work and my family, I started keeping kosher. I also started to daven every day. No matter how hectic the day was going, I always remember to find a quiet and hidden corner, picked up my siddur, and let the words of praise be on my tongue. Daily praying gave me a structure of life, a rock that I could lean on. I knew that if I could get to the 3 C's, clear, calm, and connected, Hashem is with me, and I will be in a good shape to fight the battles of life. As for parenting, I learned to embrace the uniqueness of my children. A short while ago, I thought that successful parenting should produce an academic all-star who acts with great manners, plays a classical instrument, and volunteers happily in the community. And this would be the boilerplate across the board for all my kids. But Judaism teaches me that souls come into this world to do rectification, tikkun. Often, the mistakes of one lifetime must be corrected in the next. When I apply the same thinking to my kids, instead of asking, what can I do to make them into an all-star? I ask, what is it that they're here to mend? And how can I help to perfect their souls? Worldly success cannot be the right goal for every child. They may take on paths completely different from my expectations, and I will let Hashem lead them their way.
Before coming to Rabbi Buchwald's service, I was hesitant to improve my literacy skills. Now, afterwards, reading the Torah, studying Jewish law and history sparked my interest in reading and literature. And I'm very happy that reading is now a big habit of mine. Saying the daily prayers out loud has helped me be more fluent with speech. Giving Devar Torahs improved my writing and public speaking. So when I saw my own progress that I didn't think possible, I gained confidence in myself. And Rabbi Buchwald taught me that my mission as a Jew is to offer Hesed and to repair the world. It pushed me to commit myself to helping others in general, at home, and also in the community. I'm no longer obsessed with career advancement. I am out of my personal Mitzrayim. So we have to thank Rabbi Buchwald and his wife Adel for everything that they've done to bring us into the tribe. They hosted us at their amazing Shabbat lunches with a variety of people, truly living by the mitzvah of Haknasa Orhim, hospitality for guests. And from Rabbi Buchwald, who motivated us, we learned of the story of the angels going up and down the ladder into heaven. He taught us that it didn't matter where we were on that ladder. What mattered is that we kept climbing up. And every week, he wouldn't stop quizzing us until that knowledge sunk in. He also presented opportunities for us to do Hesed. And most importantly, he didn't just teach, he lived by Torah values, by the way he carried himself at all times. Of course, we have to thank Lincoln Square Synagogue as well, Rabbi Robinson, the clergy, and all the staff and officers for welcoming us so warmly into the community. And last but not least, we thank God. to borrow a page from the Torah class of Rabbi Shel Berman, citing the Modin prayer in the Thanksgiving in the Amidah. We thank God for our lives, which we know is subject to his power. We thank him for the miracles that are present with us every day, for the wonders and favors in every season, in every time, evening, morning, and afternoon. His kindness never ends. And how do we respond to God for answering our prayers in these last few years? How do we show him our gratitude? Simply, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehehianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Standing in June 2021, 6 years after I first laid my eyes on the blessing of the skinned knee, we dunk into the mikvahs and our family was officially Jewish. We have great and grand plans for our girls. They're studying at Manhattan Day School, a modern Orthodox yeshiva on the Upper West Side. They're getting a Jewish education that we dreamed of.
Now permit me to end where I began, with my name, J-E-W, Jew. Just out of curiosity, I looked up how many people in the United States had Jew as a last name. That's right, Jew as a last name. And oh boy, was I surprised by what I found. In Elmhurst, Queens, there's a Kenny Waju. In Oregon, Kum Jew. In Arizona, Yang Jew. And so on and so on. All the Jews are Chinese. Who would have thought? But there's one name that stood out above all. Even when I said it out loud, I couldn't believe my ears. Could it be true? Goey Jew? Goey Jew? That man we're taking to the beginner service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the fabulous presentation that I've heard a second time. But we do have a few minutes left, and I'm wondering if the people who are at this beginner schmooze would like to ask Raj and Faye some questions. I know you're not shy. Have you experienced any discrimination as an Asian? Talking about in the Jewish world, in the Jewish environment, except for me, okay, that I am an equal opportunity, reviler. I pick on all races, creeds, and colors. Okay, it doesn't make a difference unless you come from the Bronx. Okay, so as a convert to Judaism, in an Orthodox synagogue, do you experience discomfort being Chinese or being Asian?
I have a pillar of cloud above me, so no one dares.
Everybody knows that, okay?
No, I mean, fortunately, no. I have not experienced any discrimination personally.
I mean, I think people are curious. So yeah, many people ask like our backgrounds and how we started in Judaism. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that we're discriminated, but more like, I think because the way we are different, people do see us differently. Like it's natural, I think. Yeah, I sometimes we walk on Western Avenue, and if on Shabbos, if Roger's wearing a kippah, like oftentimes we get stopped by people asking us our stories. Yeah, I remember one time I was at Lincoln Square, and one old lady came up to me and she said, "Are you Jewish?" I said yes, and she said, why do you want to be Jewish? And I was kind of surprised. I was like, I responded with, well, why do you want to be Jewish? So yeah, I do think that because the way that we are somewhat special, we get to experience Judaism in a very different angle. It's almost a way to see whether some people are truly open-minded versus like some people are more traditional, and for us, it's a very quick filter to see who we can be friends with in a way.
This makes me recall one of the trailblazers, one of the Asian trailblazers in the beginner service, Rabbi Warner, who, when she first walked into the beginner service, says she announced that she was MOTIT, and nobody knew what she was talking about. And then she explained that she's member of the tribe in training. And 2 years later, 2.5 years later, after she converted, she said that she was FST, which means from since Tuesday, that she had just converted. Now, what about your children in Manhattan Day School? They obviously look different, and children can be brutal. What about their experiences?
So far, I mean, they are really young, so far so good. I mean, they're really special in the sense that all the teachers know them, and the teachers who teach them and the teachers who don't teach them, they know their names. And I think that makes them feel really special and actually increases their confidence. Because
they're also, I need to admit that they're also quite precocious, quite charming and quite charismatic. So when Roger and Faye were in the beginner service and they were stumbling over the Hebrew and some of the quizzes that I subjected the people to at the beginner service, like what are the Hebrew months of the year and what are the Jewish holidays, your children would rattle them off and make us all look foolish, right? And that, I think, the songs that they learned in school, you eventually learned, and it made it a lot easier for you to get knowledge from them.
Yeah, the school does a great job teaching Judaism from very young age. Memorization comes so easy for them. Like the school makes songs and activities for them to learn from early on. So
we've been very happy at MDS. It's such a warm school, and they all the teachers and staff just really welcomed them from day one. And
right, especially when your rabbi, the beginner's rabbi, like sends you videos of other Asian children who are singing Hebrew songs, and forces you to train your children to know them as well, right?
Well,
more than one occasion.
We still need to post them on YouTube and somehow gather 2 million views so we can start some.
Right. Okay, but the rabbi doesn't seem to let up on the pressure.
We have to bribe them. So Wei did a Devar Torah 2 weeks ago at the beginner service on Kitsita, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, we. I mean, to be honest,
I know what you got out of that.
They don't do this for the love of Hashem yet.
How old is Wei?
She is 6. She turned 6 last December. So she did a Devar Torah.
She was great.